Alright, another one I'm going to do now is this Hammershoy. Wilhelm Hammershoy was referred to as the Danish Vermeer. And I'm not going to do it the same size just because I don't want to just do a copy. I'm going to do just a small little kind of smaller version that's tonally the same, but what I want to get, I want the calipers to be in the eyes, not in the hands. And I say that to all my students all the time. I think it'll take the pressure off of having to make perfect, beautiful artwork by seeing that this kind of comes over. The way you're kind of like visually map. If you visually map it, it's sometimes referred to as caliper vision. I think that's what Tony Ryder calls it. You'll be able to, I don't know, you'll be able to draw without the use of tools all the time, right, in one regard. And it's just not very limiting. You can minimally have a tool of a pencil and then be able to work and draw, So everything comes with a set of limitations, of course. Cut that in a little bit. And that's the thing just to keep in mind. So if you can work with as little as possible, just like a pencil, just some paper, then you won't be at the mercy of like a plumb line or something like that, or a grid, because you can work in many different ways. All right, pull this over. Beautiful arrangement as you begin to kind of dig into this. I'm going to just build it tonally, more like a value study. I'm going to pull this over. I feel like this is growing a little bit. All right, I'm going to just build it this way. And I think the wonderful thing about kind of working in this method quickly, the marks are kind of, well, I should say very expressive, in my opinion. And when I study the work, especially preliminary work of master artists, I see that just a lot, that they're sketching quickly. I think it's one of the things that perhaps just not taught anymore, sketching, actively pursuing, quickly. I used to go to the zoo all the time and sketch animals, just because they move, and you begin to kind of work, I think, more from memory than the luxury of having something just sit in front of you for long period of time, like a taxidermy or statue or something like that. You see echoes of modern artists too in a lot of these Hammershoy living artists that you know that they're obviously giving an homage or fan of. Old master, you see a lot of that kind of just rounding, not always filling in a line like I did at the beginning there, or putting a base boundary. All right, let's just look at that, just shape. This is a base boundary here, just taking and defining. I'm gonna go back in and You know, you see, I think a lot of even like Degas sketches and stuff like that, very, very loose. And then we had a teacher at the Academy of Art. That's where I went to grad school for animation. Bill Sanchez, who was just great. He would come in, he would just draw every single day, and he let us. He'd always bring in like the work that he didn't want to keep, and we got to study it and take it home. And I have a bunch of them, and they're just so the spirit of what he was doing. Look at this extension, right? Intentional. The what he was doing was just phenomenal. Just really actively kind of just playing every day, and you sense it in his work. This would be a large sketch, but go in and do a search for all the French academic sketches and preliminary work. It's so like very, very rough, the way in which the artists were kind of working on like a rough. You know, that's why it's referred to as a rough, I believe. But like letting go and building tones, so not everything is perfectly drawn and taken forever. I don't know, something in that. I mean, that's the composition right there. I don't know, we did a fun exercise a lot in grad school, which would be to kind of take and try things out. You know, drawing the negative space and stuff like that. I think they're fun. A lot of you know, different ways of kind of thinking about art or picture making. Last thing you want to do is make it just feel too repetitive. Like, look at that. In terms of like design element, I think Hammershoy is a great designer. Just designing all the time. That's the picture. Right. The Danish Vermeer. I think there's also an homage to like Whistler. There's, you know, some Whistler notes that work here as well. Homage to Whistler. All right, it's kind of the design there. Let's get a little white in here. See what happens. We just add a little. Look at the book, even right there. Maybe erase a little bit to give it a little bit of a hierarchy. A little more. Look at the work of like Seurat. Seurat had beautiful kind of tonal and Fontaine Latour too. Kind of almost like scribble drawings like this, where you're not so much kind of filling in a line, but you're more playing thinking tonally about, you know, less linear. The one page of the book just lighter than the other. Purposely look at that as a design element. I think I've obviously heightened it a little bit more than what he does, but I mean, you can obviously go back in if you want. I'm not gonna spend a lot of time heighten little accents if you want to. Or play up the depth. You know, so when I used to go to museums, I used to do quick little sketches to study compositions. Still do them, and that just, again, you're kind of grabbing data for when it comes time to make paintings, your own paintings. Maybe you can kind of unconsciously grab things instead of like doing versions of other people's paintings. You know, you could just figure out little things like maybe you put a picture in the background like that, and then it's, you know, oh, there we go. Another thing that he's doing, just right up there. Yeah, beautiful. I mean, I could keep going, but I think that's enough. Again, compositionally, for like a day to take something away. Again, these don't have to be perfect. I always think of like just an extraction of data. This is a wonderful way to kind of study just the composition that Hammershoy had put together here.